Football Insider's Inside Track podcast, where I'm joined by transfer correspondent Pete O'Rourke as we look to unpack all of the biggest stories from across British football this week. If we start with Liverpool, Pete, after last night's defeat to PSV, it's been a really shocking couple of months of them. I was going to say week after that defeat to Nottingham Forest as well. Obviously, there's sort of increasing questions and pressure, I suppose, on Arne Slot's future. Jamie Carragher was speaking about it on Sky Sports the other day and saying that people he knows are starting to question the manager, the fans aren't particularly happy there. I know that we sort of say he's not under any immediate pressure, and this has almost been sort of a tongue-in-cheek question for a while now, but do we get to a point where there is sort of real pressure on him, and how long do they give him if they keep losing games?
Yeah, the pressure's got to be growing on him. There's no getting away from that. Arne Slot, after the defeat to PSV, saying he feels he still has the backing of the Liverpool hierarchy. They're expecting him to turn things around, but there's no doubts Arne Slot is fighting for his job right now. He's presiding over the worst run for Liverpool in 71 years, 9 defeats in 12 matches for the first time since 1953-54 season. Then 3 big consecutive losses in all competitions by a margin of 3 goals or more. First time that's happened since 1953. So look, it's been a real worrying time for Liverpool, and especially Arne Slot, who hasn't been able to come up with the answers just yet. Been question marks over the lineups, formations. You'd have to even raise question marks about the heart and desire of the team right now as well. It seems there's an apparent lack of fight, which is very hard to see. And the real worry for me would be for the second home game in succession now. We've had plenty of Liverpool supporters leaving before the final whistle. They'd seen enough. There was even a bit of booing after the PSV game. And look, that's not the normal Liverpool thing. This time last year, if Liverpool were 3-1 down to PSV with 15 minutes left or whatever, you would expect them to come back and maybe get something out of the game. But it seems confidence is at rock bottom right now as well. And Arne Slot takes the flak for that one right now. So this game against West Ham at the weekend, if you had said a couple of months ago it would have been a huge game in Liverpool's season, people would have laughed at you. And it's going to be probably Liverpool's biggest game of the season, and arguably one of their toughest. West Ham have found a bit of form of late as well, so Liverpool really need a result in that game, because if they were to lose that, the pressure will ramp up even more on Slot. I think he's got until Christmas to try and improve the situation and get Liverpool back to winning ways, but it just looks like confidence has evaporated from the team, and it seems like it's filtering through to the supporters as well, who are losing a bit of confidence in Slot and the players.
In terms of speculation sort of on the pitch there, in terms of the players and their futures at the club, there's been a lot of talk about Federico Chiesa's position. He's sort of been in and out of the side. Started the season quite strongly, but again seems to have faded a little bit. There's always interest in him from clubs in Italy, potentially taken back to Serie A. Do you think that's going to be something that comes up again in January, that maybe he could leave Liverpool?
Yes, potentially. As you said, there will always be interest from Italian clubs in Chiesa if he does become available. He has been used more frequently this season, but again, it's more as a fringe player coming off the bench. I think he's made 13 appearances, but only 2 of those have come as starts, both in the EFL Cup. He came off the bench against PSV again in that Champions League defeat as well, but it seems that he's not trusted by Arne Slot to get a run in the team, when maybe some Liverpool fans are calling for Chiesa maybe to have a go in the starting lineup to see if it can sort of spark an improvement in Liverpool's fortunes, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Whether Liverpool would consider letting them leave in January, that remains to be seen. Obviously, Mo Salah goes away to the African Cup of Nations, so will Liverpool want to weaken the squad by letting another attacking player go? That remains doubtful. I can only see Chiesa leaving if Liverpool were to bring in a replacement, and whether they do follow up their interest in Antoine Semenyo, then maybe that could open the door for a move for Chiesa. But it seems Chiesa, despite not starting regularly, he is happy at Anfield and happy to fight for his place, and will do his best whenever he does get the chance.
Moving on to Man United now, another winger whose name is sort of not out of the news ever is Marcus Rashford. There's loads to talk about his future. He's obviously got this option to buy in his deal with Barcelona, but now there's speculation about PSG potentially entering that race. I saw Tottenham linked as well. With other teams sort of sniffing around, do you think that could impact maybe his future at Barcelona and the position sort of with regard to that option to buy that they've got?
Yeah, I don't think it will have a massive impact. I think Barcelona are still in the driving seat to sign Rashford on a permanent basis. They have got that £30 million option in the initial loan deal to sign Marcus Rashford on a permanent deal, and it does seem that there is a willingness from all parties to get a deal done. Marcus Rashford is happy at Barcelona, having moved away from Manchester United. He has found something of his best form at the new camp. He's got 6 goals and 8 assists in 17 games for Barca. He's won his place back in the England squad as well now, so it looks like he will be part of Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad as long as he stays fit. So it's been a good move for everybody involved. I think it's been a good move for Rashford, good move for Barcelona, and a good move for Manchester United as they've got him off the wage bill, and it does seem he doesn't have a future at Old Trafford as well. So yeah, despite rumours of interest from elsewhere, the likes of PSG, I think Barcelona still in the box seat to get this deal done, and I think Rashford ideally would like to join Barcelona on a permanent basis as well.
Obviously, I mentioned that Tottenham were one of the teams potentially linked with that move for Rashford. They've been looking to strengthen in attacking areas for a while. They've obviously been frustrated in their search for a new striker and things like that. Richarlison's form has really picked up recently, even though Tottenham have been struggling, obviously, with those defeats to Arsenal and PSG. Richarlison scored in both of those games, scored in the one before Arsenal as well, so he's got 3 and 3 now. Do you think that sort of makes his position at Tottenham a little bit more secure? There's obviously been a lot of speculation about his future there as well.
Yeah, obviously he's doing the best he can right now, Richarlison, to try and score goals for Tottenham. As you said, 2 goals in his last 2 games against Arsenal, and a PSG stunning goal against Arsenal, but obviously didn't matter a lot because of the final result in that game. He's Tottenham's top goal scorer this season, 6 goals and 2 assists in 20 appearances in all competitions, but I still don't think he is probably the answer to Tottenham's striking issues. For me, I still think Richarlison's probably best playing off as a wide forward rather than as a number 9. So we know that Tottenham are in the market for a new number 9 in January if they're able to bring one in, and also they've missed Dominic Solanke this season as well through injury. He's hardly figured at all under Thomas Frank as well. So look, Richarlison has stepped up. He's done okay in places, but I think Tottenham would prefer an out-and-out number 9 to be playing as their main striker in the team as well. And as I said, Richarlison, he's under contract until 2027, so going into next season, he will be going into the final year of his contract, so Spurs will have to make a decision on him sooner rather than later what they plan to do. Will they offer him a new contract, or will they be open to offers for him? There's been constant talk of a potential move to the Saudi Pro League. I'm sure there'll be interest in his native Brazil as well for Richarlison, so if Spurs decide to make him available, I'm sure he won't be short of takers either.
Another position where Tottenham have been looking to strengthen is in midfield. They've been quite heavily linked with a move for Conor Gallagher since even when he was at Chelsea before he made that move to Atletico Madrid. There's been obviously a lot of talk about Gallagher's future. In the summer he was linked with a return to the Premier League, and now that speculation is sort of coming up again. There are a few obviously Premier League teams being linked with that. I know Palace has been linked, you've got Man United looking at him, and also Tottenham of course. Has his position at Atletico Madrid changed at all?
Well, it does seem that Atletico would be open to parting ways with Conor Gallagher in January if they did get a suitable fee. I think they would be looking around 30 million euros, so around 26 million pounds, to let Gallagher move on. He started the midweek for Atletico against Inter in the Champions League in a rare start, but he's not been a regular starter under Diego Simeone this season. Just 2 starts in La Liga. Pablo Barrios is the preferred midfield choice ahead of Gallagher in Simeone's midfield as well. And I think for Gallagher himself, he might be open to considering a move away in January due to his ambitions of trying to break into Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad. He's missed the last 3 squads that Tuchel's named for England right now as well, and he might be thinking he needs to move on in search of regular first team football and to put himself back in the Premier League shop window for Tuchel to see him if he is to make a late bid for that World Cup squad to America next summer. But look, I think Conor Gallagher, I think Atletico turned down a few loan offers for Gallagher in the summer window, so they would obviously prefer a permanent sale in January, so that would allow them to bring in a potential replacement as well. But if Gallagher does become available in the market, I'm sure there'll be a host of Premier League clubs who'd be interested in him. United tried in the summer. Tottenham, as you said, are long-term admirers. Crystal Palace had him on loan before as well. So I think a lot of clubs will be continually monitoring that situation with Gallagher at Madrid. And as I said, if he does become available, there is a real possibility that a deal could happen in January.
Obviously, Palace on that list of suitors for Gallagher. It looks like they're going to be looking to strengthen in midfield. And another player on their radar is Joe Willock from Newcastle. He potentially hasn't played as much as a role in Eddie Howe's plans as he might have hoped. Obviously, they brought in Jacob Ramsey in the summer as well, so that potentially frees up the opportunity for him to move on. Do you think that's something that Palace could look to pursue in January and potentially something Newcastle would be open to?
Yeah, I think it's something that Newcastle will be open to, definitely. I think if they got a decent offer for Joe Willock, it's something they would definitely consider because it would allow them maybe to strengthen their squad elsewhere. He's under contract until 2027 as well, so they don't have too many more opportunities maybe to cash in Joe Willock as well. And I think for the player himself, he could be interested in a move away from St James's Park in search of regular first team football. He's probably fifth or sixth choice midfielder in Eddie Howe's plans right now as well. To be fair to Willock, he's been unlucky. Last couple of seasons, he's had a number of injuries and fitness issues that have sort of plagued him and stopped him getting a regular run in that Newcastle side as well. Palace could be a good option for him. Obviously, Oliver Glasner would like to strengthen his squad, and Joe Willock is a versatile player. He can play central midfielder, he can play out wide, and Premier League proven as well. So it could be a good option for them. I'm sure there'll be a few clubs maybe looking at Joe Willock's situation in the January window. But again, for Newcastle, I can't imagine they would let him go without having a replacement maybe lined up, because Eddie Howe's squad has been hit by injuries, and obviously he wouldn't want to weaken his squad by letting someone go without maybe having a replacement lined up.
Another player at Newcastle who looks like he could potentially be moving on is Will Osula. We speak about him almost every week, it feels. He's in the news quite a lot in terms of links with a move away. Obviously that move to Frankfurt looked like it might be on in the closing stages of the summer window. Eventually it didn't go through for sort of whatever reason. But there's now been speculation that they could rekindle that interest. Is that something that you'd expect to happen in January? Potentially a loan move or even a permanent move for him?
Yeah, the interest from Eintracht Frankfurt still remains in Will Osula. They thought they were going to get that deal done on deadline day until Newcastle decided to pull the plug at the 11th hour, and obviously Osula remained at St James's Park, but he has struggled for playing time under Eddie Howe this season. Obviously Walter Maida was brought in as the big signing up front, and he has been starting regularly for Eddie Howe. Johan Wissa was another big signing, but we haven't seen him yet due to injury. So if Wissa comes back fit, it will just push Osula even further down the pecking order at St James's Park as well. So look, I think those German clubs, Eintracht Frankfurt, there is other clubs also interested in Will Osula. They are actively monitoring the situation, and as I said, if there is a possibility that Newcastle would let him leave in a permanent deal, it's something that those clubs will be interested in. Again, I don't think Newcastle would be willing to let Osula go without maybe having a replacement lined up, because again, Eddie Howe doesn't want to weaken his squad. They're still in all competitions. They're in the Premier League, Carabao Cup, Champions League. He knows he needs as many players available to him as possible with such a busy schedule for the Magpies. So they're under no real pressure to cash in on Osula. A lot will depend on the player if he wants to move on in search of regular first team football, and as I said, that interest from Eintracht Frankfurt and other German clubs remains in the striker.